Oh, yes. So, Terry, as far as the Sabres are concerned, and Kim said it too, that no one's happy with the way the season has gone. As you stand here now, do you anticipate the need to make any kind of change with your head coach, with your general manager, anything like that?
Well, the season obviously hasn't finished yet, but I think Bots has said it pretty well that he supports Phil. Phil communicates with the players well. Are we happy with how the season is going? Absolutely not. You can ask anybody on the team. So, something has to change. We don't know what, but we're all going to put our heads together and talk about it.
But you feel you can justify bringing Phil Housley back despite the results since the 10-game win streak?
Yeah.
Why?
He's a young coach, and he was a great player, and I think he can grow as a coach.
Terry, how much of the coaching changes over the past years with both organizations maybe play a role in wanting to finally stick with one, and Phil in particular?
Yeah, we talked about consistency, and that's you look around both leagues, the National Hockey League and the National Football League, and the teams that have the consistent management teams seem to fare better. And you look at, I always say, like the Patriots, with Belichick and Brady, it's like going to McDonald's and getting your coffee in the morning. It's the same. Or Tim Hortons, it's what you're going to get every morning. And those guys, they've been together so long, they're hard to compete against.
Looking at a GM and coach perspective on the hockey side, do you maybe need to add someone there? An extra layer experience, someone who could maybe help the process along?
I don't think so because I communicate with Bots regularly, daily, sometimes 3 times a day, and he's the only 3-time gold medal world junior guy in the world. He's a smart guy, and he does a good job.
In hindsight, it's easy to say now, but when you had that 10-game winning streak and the season was in a position where you could make a playoff run, do you regret not a greater investment in trying to help that cause by bringing in the players who might be able to help you that way?
Well, first off, I don't know if it was said publicly. I think Jason may have said something publicly. I'm not sure, but we knew at the time when we were number 1 in the Eastern Conference, we said we're not this good, but we'll come back to earth some. Now, did we think we'd come back like this? No. So at the time when we were 17-6-2, we didn't think we were the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, and I think our guys have showed one thing. At one time they were. They just need to now continue and do that over a longer period of time.
And what gives you confidence that that can happen, given the way this season has taken the downturn that it has?
The team is so young, and I know it sounds like a cop-out because there's young teams that are winning. We're one of the youngest teams in the league, and that's young guys make mistakes that sometimes they shouldn't, but they grow.
Terry, we've heard from Brandon and Sean to their responses of people taking shots at Buffalo after the whole Antonio Brown thing, and how passionate they were about defending the city and things that were written and said. What was your reaction when those things were happening?
First off, I don't know what was written and said because I think I told you last night I don't look at that stuff. But I don't know. Buffalo's a good town to be in. We all know that. We're all here, and I think Brandon. I saw what his quote was that you need to come here, see what it's all about, and then you'll know that it's a good place to be. So that's all I have to say to that. And Antonio Brown, he made his decision. We tried, and it didn't work out for either one of us. So,
do you have anything to add about? I know Kim spoke to it, but about the changes at PSC, some of the reasons behind it, some of the the stuff that has become public behind some of the reasoning behind that. How much does that bother you, and just your thoughts on the overall changes in the reasoning behind it?
Well, that was obviously driven mostly by Kim. She consulted with me on it, but she worked more with the people there daily than I do. So she just felt she needed to make some changes, and she did.
Entering year 3 with Sean and Brandon, what is your and now that you've gone through this big free agency period, what's your level of confidence, faith that you're closer to being the team you want the Bills to be?
Well, for one thing, these guys work and they're smart. They put the time in, and we talk a lot, and there's such good communication between all 3 of us and Kim. It's just fun to be there and work with those guys, and if they can communicate with me, I know they can communicate with the players and the staff, and that's a good thing. There's a good vibe over there.
Terry, when you were ratified as owners of the Bills, a lot of the talk was that there was an understanding that a new facility would be needed for the Bills. Has that softened a bit? Because I know the survey came out where it left the door open on renovating New Era Field as it stands today, as opposed to getting a new stadium. So have the owners in that room softened on what they initially said?
We've employed CAA, Icon, and Populous. They're doing a market study. It'll be done this summer. It's pretty extensive, the work they're doing. And so I can't comment on what the results are because I don't know. We have dribs and drabs of what they've seen so far. But, we're open to any option, and we'll see what the market study says.
I'm just wondering in terms of the expectation from the league. That's where I'm.
The league, the league just, I think they more or less want to see something done, one way or the other, and we're one of the smaller markets, and any way we can increase our revenue, they're for it.
Have you maybe asked some of the other owners for advice in terms of people that have been through this? Obviously,
Yes.
It's your first time.
Yeah, we do that. We do that a lot. Yeah.
I know your study, Terry, is part of it, but there's been a long-held question as to, a new stadium could the Western New York market support it from an economic standpoint, the model that it takes to make a lot of these new stadiums work. I know you're still fact-finding, but as a businessman, do you have a general sense of what the answer to that question is?
I think the answer is probably a scaled-down version of some of these palaces that are being built around the country. The thing Stan is building in L.A. is amazing. Jerry Jones's facility in Dallas. So, we need to do something that's Buffalo style.
So your response is that you would favor building something as opposed to renovating what you have now?
We'll see what the market research says.
Why are you in favor of expanding the replay? It was voted. Obviously, you guys voted yes. What went into that thought for you?
I think just to try to make the game better and to erase any doubt on calls, that to let our on-field people make the best decisions they can, to help the game. None of us like to see mistakes.
Sure.
Or missed calls or whatever decide the outcome of any game.
I wanted to go back to the Sabres for 1 second. I remember your quote that when you bought the team, the sole existence is to win the Stanley Cup. Given you're going on 8 years out of the postseason right now, what is your level of patience and what is your level of expectation moving forward to get this team really competitive and into the postseason?
Well,
where are you setting the bar?
We have a lot of good young talent, and especially our good young talent, you know who they are, but we've got 2 of them that are potential superstars with Jack and Rasmus Dahlin. So, those are 2 pieces that I think a lot of teams would love to have, and we have them in Buffalo. So we'll build around that foundation.
You like to get Skidder done too?
Yes.
I know the NFLPA has talked a lot about what's coming down the road. The CBA is expiring, obviously. How much of those discussions, from an owner standpoint, are starting to take place on what to be prepared for and to look out for in the next couple of years?
I can't comment on that. We're
Terry,
Something that-
on the football side of things, you got Josh Allen now. What did you see from him in his rookie season that maybe gives you confidence that you finally found the franchise quarterback?
Well, the first thing I told Josh was, you jump over a linebacker like you did. You do that 3 times, you're going to be out. Yeah. But, I mean, Josh, one thing we've seen from him, everybody knows he's got an arm. What I was impressed from him was how the team just sucked into him, and he's just the focal point. He became the leader, and he's a hard worker, and he's a heck of an athlete. So we'll see what he can do this season. But I can tell you this: he's going to be a good leader.
Terry, whether it be I wanted to go back to the football stadium, or whether it be what you do at KeyBank Center, but really primarily football, do you have a sense at this point how much public money would be involved in those projects?
I don't have any idea. No.
Is everything still on the table as far as location? If, let's say, it was new, location, dome, no dome, grass, turf, all that stuff.
We haven't. We're waiting for our study to come out and see what all they tell us, what our market can support.
So it would be everything. So anything could happen, and as far as that's concerned,
Well,
when you go down that road.
I don't know. If we build a stadium, do you want a dome on it?
Some people do, some people don't.
Do you?
I know
Sure.
Miami
Do you?
does. I know.
Do you?
I know Steve Ross doesn't.
But
Do you?
He's told me that. No.
No dome.
No. We'll see what the study says. It's all about what we think our fans want, what they'd prefer.
If the study shows that the marketplace just doesn't, at the end of the day, doesn't want to pay for it, I think it'd be the issue. Everybody
Yeah.
wants the new thing, but paying for it is 2 separate things.
Mm-hmm.
Can you live with a renovated or just an improved existing stadium that you have? Can that be a scenario?
Again, let's wait till this summer and see what kind of results we get out of what the experts are telling us our market is.
Has the league given you any comments or direction or push
No.
in a time frame or anything?
No.
With regards to the football team, do you have any sense that maybe the hard part is over in terms of the patience of how Brandon and Sean wanted to build this, and that maybe we could see a turn in terms of results in the next year or two?
Well, I mentioned Josh Allen. We've got another young piece on defense, Tremaine. So we've got developing some good solid foundation for the football team too. So we've got 10 draft picks this year. So see what happens.
Let's take 2 more, please.
Good.
Are you, just back to the taxpayer question, so would you potentially be willing to foot the bill for a new stadium yourself?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.